a bit later, but we'll start with the football and Southampton's trip to Israel to take on Hapoel Be'er-Sheva. The informed Saints looking to make it 5 wins out of 5. And your commentators for this one, Jermaine Genius and first John Champion.
Southampton have made their longest ever journey for a competitive match. It is Hapoel in the red. This represents a significant test for Southampton's recent winning run. Ward-Prowse towards Van Dijk, who escaped everyone and missed from point-blank range.
I can't believe what I've just seen. Just stick it in the back of the net.
Free playing advantage here. Spotted the foul. Shane Long unable to find the adhesive control he required. And with a man down, Hapoel being urged to put the ball out of play. I'm not sure all the Southampton players have realised that one of their men is down and they are still playing on. Oh, and Hapoel are angered by that.
No, they shouldn't be, because they didn't kick the ball out. They had ample opportunities to make sure they got the ball out of play, but they completely ignored it. And, you know, Shane Long took it upon himself to say, well, that's what you want to do, I'll get the ball back. And so I think they're well within their rights. There's no signs here that they want to kick it out. There's no point in complaining now. Deal with it.
Ward-Prowse. Rare activity for David Goresh in goal.
James Ward-Prowse, he really did strike a lovely ball, but great technique.
Wakeme. It's a more searching ball, but the finish still lacking. Driven effort across the face.
That's the best opportunity we've seen in this second half anyway, and it comes from some good play. As it goes out to Wakeme, he gets his head up, and he finds his captain, who does the right thing really. You know, strikes a ball across goal, just needs to hit the target.
So a forgettable game for Southampton, but an important point away in Israel. Owen, what did you think of the performance tonight?
Well, I think the most important thing is to try and get a result. But I was a little bit surprised, actually.
They did so well in that opening game against Sparta Prague, didn't they? But a 5th clean sheet for them, I guess, the most important thing as well.
I think that's the most. If you can get a clean sheet, I think that's one of the most important things. But yeah, I think I was just a little bit surprised, maybe, and you know, with the early change in the game, yeah.
Kevin, Van Dijk, he said after the game he really should have put Southampton ahead in the 4th minute. What a chance he had. It was a lovely ball in from James Ward-Prowse from that free kick. How does he not score this? What should he have done?
Yeah, he just needs to head it down on target. It's a goal, and it's a great ball from James Ward-Prowse. We expect that from him. This came after 3 minutes. I think if this goes in, probably see a different Southampton. They didn't really get into the passing stride, etc. But he knows that was a big chance for them. That would have really settled them down. It's a difficult place to go there. You know, they've not lost a game there in 22 games in that new stadium, so they knew it was going to be difficult for them. And in the end, it wasn't a great performance, but a good point in the end.
Jake Hesketh was given his European debut tonight, just 20 years old, another Southampton Academy product, but brought off after 30 minutes. We thought he might have had a knock, Kevin, when we watched this earlier, but Puel confirmed it was a tactical decision, showing that he can be really ruthless, Puel.
Yeah, we're just speaking to him about it there. It's a strange one. There's only 10 minutes to go till half-time. He hadn't particularly got into the game. He'd been on the end of a couple of heavy challenges, but, you know, Redmond, Long, they were pretty poor as well, so he could have really taken any of them off. It was a bit harsh on him, but as I say, he's a manager, he has to make those big calls. They found it difficult in that first half an hour. They were, you know, Hapoel were on top a lot, but I think he could have probably waited till half-time. It seemed a strange one, that. They weren't under the cosh by
Do you think he's trying to get Tadic on his... I think he's their best player.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, they were okay. They were just growing into the game a little bit at that point in the game, so to take him off with 10 minutes to go, it's unusual.
It's hard for a young
And then you think, well, why not start Tadic if you're taking him all that way to Israel?
He said it was a difficult place for him, with the crowd there. He scored a couple of weeks ago against Palace. He was on the bench at the weekend, so it's a tough call to say he's good enough to be in there, but then give him an excuse to bring him out. It was a weird one, I felt. Yeah.
We always think of him as being quite softly spoken, Jules. Is that something he's known for from his time in France?
No,
to be
not
quite
really.
ruthless like that?
From all the games I've seen him as a manager, I've never seen him taking someone, whether he was a young player or more experienced player, so early in the game. It's very unlike him. He must have felt that they needed a change, maybe in the formation. We saw Tadic saying like we go maybe 4 in midfield or something like that, and that's the only reason why I said. But
it wasn't really.
It could be hard.
He wasn't
to take
up against it. It wasn't creating a lot of chances. Hapoel. They had 1 or 2 from long distance, but it was a strange one with the way the game was going. They were pretty comfortable at that stage of the game, really. So.
You missed the players they left behind as well, including Charlie Austin. The other game in Southampton's group, though, Sparta Prague against Inter. Inter, of course, lost their opening game against Sheva. How did this one turn out, Jules?
Well, we were wondering which Inter would turn up, the one who were humiliated at home by Sheva in match day 1, or the one that beat Juventus 3 days later at San Siro as well. Well, we got the rubbish one, and when you defend like a Sunday pub team, really, you can't expect to win a European game. So the first goal there from Vakar Kladic, and then some more terrible defending on that free kick there from Inter Milan. He was onside, I promise you that, to make it 2-0, and Inter were just all over the place defensively. They came back in the second half with Palacios, the only really good movement that Inter had all night, and at 2-1 down, you thought with 20 minutes to go, maybe they can come back, but they clearly didn't have enough. And Sparta would even score the 3rd goal. Ranocchia would be sent off just there for a second yellow, just to cap a very poor night for Inter Milan. No Ranocchia for the game against Southampton, and a 3rd goal as well, with some more poor defending on that set piece there. But another terrible night for De Boer and his players, and Inter with 0 points after 2 matches. For the first time since 1961, they lose 4 European games in a row.
Absolutely, and this is how Group K looks at the moment. Southampton in control then with 4 points, but Sheva certainly probably underestimated when that draw took place, also with 4 points. Inter on 0. It's Leicester next away for Southampton, but some tough games coming up, Owen, for them. They've got San Siro next in the Europa League against Inter, Chelsea in there as well, and then Inter at home. But a good time to be playing them. How do you think they'll do in the San Siro?
Well, look, I think they play the right way. I think they play very positive. 9th in the league. They have a lot of possession. I think they're 6th in the league in the Premier League in terms of possession. So they'll go there and they'll try and play their football. But obviously, need their key players to play. Tadic is the creator, and Charlie Austin to lead the line. I think they'll be confident anywhere they go. But when they go to a San Siro or a City away or Chelsea, just don't think they have enough quality to beat those top teams.
OK, so a point in Israel for Southampton. Unfortunately for the club, some negative headlines for them in tomorrow's newspapers. This is as part of the ongoing Telegraph investigation into corruption in football. On the front page of tomorrow's paper, top coach gave bribery advice, and this is regarding Southampton's assistant manager Eric Black, featuring in that article. The article alleging that Black told businessmen you can pay lower league staff to allow you to represent their players. Now, a spokesman for Eric Black has said any suggestion he was complicit in such discussions are false. There is a statement as well from Southampton tonight. They're saying that they're fully committed to investigating any situation that directly or indirectly relate to the club, employees or the wider community. So more, I think, to come out in tomorrow's newspapers there. OK, we will be back to the football after the break with our roundup continuing. Lots more still to come, including how Man United fared in their match against Ukrainian side Zorya. We'll see you shortly.
This programme is sponsored by Bet365.
Welcome back to our highlights from match day 2 of the Europa League. Our Premier League coverage continues on Sunday on BT Sport as well. It all gets underway 11 o'clock in the morning. You can see all the goals from the weekend so far on Premier League Today on BT Sport 1 and in 4K ultra high definition. And then on the same channel, it is Manchester United against the side bottom of the Premier League, Stoke City, Mark Hughes' side, really struggling at the moment. Our build-up begins from 11:30 with Jake and the team. But earlier tonight, Manchester United took on Zorya from Ukraine in the Europa League after losing their first match against Feyenoord. They were looking to get their first points on the board in Group A. And your commentators at Old Trafford, Robbie Savage and Ian Dark.
For these players from Zorya, the biggest match in their club's history. And Manchester United's 40th European season. And no Wayne Rooney again tonight. Corner kick, Pogba got something on it, not enough. Oh, and surely up the other side of the bar from Rashford. He's wondering how it stayed out. I think the bar's still shuddering from that.
Absolutely wonderful strike from Rashford. He's taken on the half volley. He's hit with so much pace and power.
This time it's a corner kick for Fellaini! Headed it down and it bounced down and over the bar.
Yeah, I think Tchaikovsky's paid him for a free kick. It wasn't given. Just watch Fellaini. He's pulled him back there.
And it breaks down again, rather too easily from Manchester United's point of view. Qarabag is nice and strong. He got the wrong side of Rojo there. Picks out a pass, chance there for Ljubanovic arriving, and he couldn't get himself sorted out. But the threat is there, and Manchester United's passing at the start of the second half has been so sloppy. The man from Belgrade, Ljubanovic, is going to be the one who curls this in. Ibrahimovic got it away. Tchaikovsky plays it back in there again. Paulinho, and a save from Romero. Great concentration from him because he's had nothing to do all night.
It's a comfortable save, I'd say, for Romero. You have to make it though, it's on target.
Well, here's the moment for Wayne Rooney, who's on at last. Off comes Jesse Lingard. Mata lays it forward. Fosu meant to Rooney, had a chance straight away. Ibrahimovic puts it in. Manchester United have the lead. And it's Zlatan Ibrahimovic with the breakthrough goal.
Rooney gives you all his experience. He didn't go into the bodies. He just pulled out. Great little movement. You know, the ball was fired at him and he's got an assist. But Zlatan with a header to calm the nerves. 1-0 United.
So a rather lacklustre Manchester United with their first win of the group stage this season, and watching all that unfold at Old Trafford, Jake Humphrey is there with Michael Owen and Paul Scholes. So let's get their post-match thoughts.
Lindsay, thanks very much. Welcome back to Old Trafford. So, Paul, anyone that picks up the newspaper tomorrow and sees Manchester United 1, Zorya 0, and they haven't seen the game, will wonder how Manchester United only scored once against minnows from Ukraine. So what is the answer to that?
They weren't good enough tonight, I don't think, to score many goals. They didn't really create chances. I think the one shot on target was the goal from Zlatan. Apart from that, no, nothing was created. I have to say, it can be difficult against teams like that. They only come and defend, and they try and hit you on the counter-attack every now and again, which they nearly scored from. They was quite successful at trying to do that, but they defended really well. You have to give them credit for that. I do think that Man United could have played an attacking midfield player rather than Fellaini. I don't think it was a game for a holding midfield player tonight. I think it's a game where you probably 70-80% of the possession, and you play a player there who's capable of creating stuff. Wayne Rooney and Michael Carrick, they're thinking goals all the time. They're thinking, good passes into forward players, and Fellaini has played more as a stopper tonight to stop the opposition. And I just don't think there was need for that position tonight.
Well, look, it's one of the oldest and most boring cliches in the book, but getting the result actually did matter tonight, and we've heard since from Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who said, look, the key thing about tonight is we get the result that just helps to build the confidence a little bit more, and it was his goal that made the difference. Well, it is, and when you lose 3 games in a week like they did not so long ago, then any win is welcome. And they needed this win, being on 0 points. I know there was only 1 game gone, but they couldn't afford not to win here.
And he didn't do much for the goal, I must admit. He was stood on the back post, loitering, not much movement at all. Wayne Rooney couldn't really get his feet right, bounced off his knee. But then, when he's in a one-on-one situation like that, it's just game over. I mean, he's too big, too strong, almost pins his man with his arms. He hardly jumps. I mean, he gets an inch or so off the ground, doesn't need to, and it's a simple finish for the big man. It was a very important goal, a big win, and I think United will be happy with the victory, move on to the next game, forget about the performance and brush that under the carpet a bit.
And the next game is Stoke, live on BT Sport. The key lessons Jose's learned from tonight ahead of that Stoke game?
Play the team that won against Leicester on Saturday, I think.
So bring back Herrera, bring back the...
Yeah, I think he'll do that. I think he was going to do that before the game, whatever happened tonight. I think it was probably the best 20-30 minutes of football that United fans have seen on Saturday against Leicester. And I'm sure he'll go straight back to that team for Sunday.
Great. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your company this evening. I would say I enjoyed it, but it wasn't exactly a game to save, or was it? Back to you, Lindsay, in the studio. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys. So job done in terms of the points for Manchester United. How do you think they played, though?
Well, they didn't play that well. You know, they had 72% possession, only 2 shots on target, but you need to find a way to win games, and obviously they did enough to win the game, but that first one against... I was there in Rotterdam and they were really, really, really poor and didn't really create anything offensively against what I thought was a very poor Feyenoord team. So tonight was, most importantly, was about the result, and they got one. They can play better. Now the focus goes to Sunday against Stoke.
The Zorya manager said before, I'm going to be honest, it's a frightening prospect going to Old Trafford and playing Manchester United, but it didn't look like that, did it?
No, they had a few chances of their own. As I said, they were very hard to break down, very well organised, and Manchester United found it difficult for the most part of the game, with only 2 shots on target. You know, they put a strong team out, and all the big hitters were playing, obviously bar Wayne Rooney. So it's a disappointing performance, but it's been a good week for them, hasn't it?
A better night for Wayne Rooney as well. Jules came off the bench, made an instant impact with the assist, sort of. For that Eve goal, but could give his confidence the boost that it needs at the moment.
And it was a bit weird. We said with Owen before the game that Mourinho said, I have to protect him. When you think of Rooney and Zorya, it just doesn't add up. But anyway, he came on, had an impact. His movement on the goal is great. He gets a bit of luck, obviously, and Ibra is there at the right place at the right time. But let's hope that can maybe kick on a good period for Wayne, because he needs to get back to his confidence, to find his momentum again, because we haven't seen the real Wayne Rooney this season so far.
Well, Jose Mourinho didn't look too happy for most of that match up and down the touchline tonight. Let's find out what he was like after the game. He spoke to Des Kelly.
Jose, you got the win tonight, but you had to dig that one out.
Yeah, it was difficult. It was difficult. We had our chances in the first half. We could obviously score and have a different match, but we didn't. And they kept all the time very well organized, with lots of people behind the ball, always with the danger hidden, but ready to do something in counter-attack. So the game was difficult, but it was important to win.
Frustrating for you at times, but as you say, you've got the 3 wins now on the bounce after the 3 defeats, an upturn.
Yeah, 1 week 3 defeats, 1 week 3 victories. But I was not depressed with the 3 defeats, and I'm not in the moon with the 3 victories. So we have a game Sunday, and that's now the most important one.
Were you sure the goal was always going to come, Ibrahimovic's goal? Rooney changed the dynamic a little bit. He played a part in the goal.
Well, since the first minute I was waiting for the goal, but the goal was never arriving. And you never know. You never know what can happen. And to be honest, Romero made a good save with a 0-0 result, and before we scored. But obviously, we thought that we could win, and I had on the bench players to help me to change the game. I played 3 of them. I could play others because my bench was full of attacking options, and Wayne gave us a different position, and Martial gave us different speed in a moment where the opposition was getting a bit tired.
Before the kick-off, as the teams were gathering on the pitch, you looked like you were upset by something tactical. Do you know what that was?
Yeah, it was, set pieces organization. They changed their team before the game, and Paul was a bit confused. with the changes, and obviously I want my assistants to take care of all the details.
And looking ahead to Stoke, you go to it on the back of a win. Luke Shaw back, is Rooney okay? Clean bill of health for these players?
Let's see tomorrow, but normally yes. Normally we have almost everybody in conditions to play. Obviously Phil Jones has a long-term injury, but a very difficult match. The truth about Stoke is not where they are in the table. Good manager, good players, good team. So I don't look to the table, I look to their quality, and they are good.
Thank you, Jose.
Thank you.
Just doesn't seem particularly happy at all at the moment, especially that little outburst before the game. Owen, what did you make of all that? Just something doesn't seem quite right still, does it, at Old Trafford?
Well, I don't think it will be if they're sixth in the league and after that poor performance against Feyenoord, but obviously it just shows his attention to detail. And I think that attention to detail was effective. I think Paul Pogba was trying to get instructions about set pieces. Bit of confusion with the assistant manager. Just look at that face.
Death stare. I wouldn't want to be Rui.
And look that's how demanding he is. That's what he expects from his players and his staff. We've seen it before at Chelsea, and he's a perfectionist. And obviously he realises for Zorya.
Is that okay to do that?
Look, he's
in
the
front
boss.
of all the cameras?
Well, he's trying to make a point that he is the boss, but he realises how important set pieces are for a small team like Zorya. You know, in this game, that set pieces a way for them to score a goal. And if something would have happened there, I would have hated to see his reaction. Is
that all for show, do you think, Kevin? This is all part of the whole siege mentality thing we see so often with Mourinho?
Possibly, yeah. I think, you know, he expects, like I say, perfection from his staff, and to show the players that you don't want players suddenly questioning, oh, they haven't got a clue what they're doing and stuff, and, you know, the organisation, those little things, they should really be taken care of, you know, leading up to the game, an hour and a half before you go out the game, you check the set piece. Everybody should know their jobs before you enter the field. So he's obviously not happy about that situation, and maybe it's just a case of Paul Pogba forgetting who he's marking. It could have been something that simple. We don't really know.
What about his best team then, Owen? Do you think he really doesn't know what that is? And if he doesn't by now, then why not?
Well, I think that's part of the frustration probably for him. I don't think he knows his best team. I think he's still trying to find that partner for Paul Pogba, obviously dropping Wayne Rooney. I don't think Wayne Rooney is the problem in that side. I think you have to find a place for Rashford. I think they need speed in that team, and you have Martial, you have Jesse Lingard. Matt has played really well when he's played.
Sitting there on the bench.
I'm surprised Carrick doesn't play. I think De Gea, Smalling, and Bailly, I think it's perfect. I think he's still trying to find, you see Luke Shaw, he's not playing at the moment. Blind played the other day. So I think that's part of the frustration for him, is the fact he's still trying to find his best team. And I think it's going to take a bit of time to find what blends and works together. Because right now they're doing okay, but they need to be doing better, really.
It looked like they had the right blend against Leicester City. They're going to look to build on that result against Stoke City, that game in the Premier League, live on BT Sport this Sunday. All the build-up from 11:30. So they have a win in the group, in Group A. The other game in that group is Fenerbahçe against Feyenoord. Feyenoord, of course, beat Man United in that first game. What happened tonight?
Yeah, Feyenoord had a perfect 9 wins in 9 games in all competition this season so far, but they stopped there because they were beaten tonight by a much better team, Fenerbahçe at home. Emmanuel Emenike, who was on loan at West Ham at the end, the last 6 months of last season, with the goal there. We see the celebration with Moussa Sow and Dick Advocat, and Fenerbahçe 3 wins in a row for them, 9 coming back, as we're going to see in the table in this Europa League now.
OK, well, let's take a look at what else happened in the rest of the early kick-offs in the Europa League tonight. 10 more games coming up for you with Archie Rintut and Seb Hutchison.
Ajax have produced many a young talent over the years, and 18-year-old striker Kasper Dolberg could be another after his 6th goal in 7 starts was enough for a home win. Former Manchester City striker John Guidetti is nicknamed the Rhino, but he was still able to elude the Panathinaikos defence to put Celta Vigo in front late on. Daniel Ves then wrapped up the points as the Greek visitors were left to rue 2 disallowed goals before Vigo's late flurry. And the top 2 will meet next time round as Ajax jet off to Galicia whilst Panathinaikos head for Belgium.
Shakhtar had won all 5 meetings with their Portuguese opponents, and they took the lead in under 5 minutes through Taras Stepanenko. Braga were given a helping hand when referee Tobias Stieler showed Fred a second yellow card after deciding the Brazilian had taken a dive. but it made no difference to Shakhtar, who secured victory in the second half thanks to Viktor Kovalenko. Konyaspor were making their first ever trip in European football, but Gent spoilt the party. Kenny Saif with the opening goal, and the Belgians were 2 up before half-time through Renato Neto. Gent remain unbeaten in Europe this season. Shakhtar in charge in Group H and welcome second-place Gent on matchday 3.
Schalke have endured a miserable start to their domestic campaign, but Leon Goretzka's persistence gave an early lift to the club bottom of the Bundesliga. They had a slice of luck for their second goal, as Benedikt Hövedes' cross was deflected in by Douye Cheleta-Kar after the break. And Hövedes then scored himself. Naldo's header off the bar crossed the line, but Hövedes followed up twice to make sure. There wasn't to be a clean sheet for Schalke though, as Salzburg captain Jonathan Soriano scored a consolation for the Austrian champions. Russian international Fedor Shmolov is a man in form, as Nice discovered when the Krasnodar striker scored his 11th goal in 13 games. Shmolov went off injured 7 minutes later, but soon after, Jairzinho was able to coolly double the home side's advantage. The French league leaders did pull one back before the break through Mario Balotelli, as their high-profile summer signing scored his 5th goal in 4 games. But at half-time, Balotelli came off, and after the restart, Nice captain Paul Bice was penalised for handball. Penalty to Krasnodar, which Jairzinho converted to reopen a 2-goal lead for the hosts. Lucien Favre's side halved that advantage once again though, when 21-year-old substitute Wylan Cyprien made it 3-2. The Krasnodar were not to be denied a second straight Europa League win, as Jairzinho added an assist to his 2 goals by setting up substitute Ari. Nice had only conceded 5 goals in their first 8 games under Favre, but another strike from Ari saw them ship 5 on the night in Russia. So Krasnodar and Schalke are both 2 wins out of 2. They meet on matchday 3, whilst Nice and Salzburg will try to get their first points next time out.
Slovan Liberec just loves scoring quickly. It took Jan Sikora inside 11 seconds on matchday 1, and this time round he was the provider for Nikolai Komlichenko in only 43 seconds. But Sikora went from hero to zero moments later. His handball saw the visitors awarded a penalty, allowing Stefano Athanassiadis to make no mistake from the spot. And with 8 minutes remaining, the PAOK captain took all 3 points with a powerful header, a 3rd consecutive win away from home in the Europa League for the Greek side. A first visit to Florence saw Qarabag down to 10 men after only half an hour. Elvin Unizade, the last man. And Fiorentina would make them pay. A free kick from Nikola Kalinic was parried into the path of Kuma Babacar to open the floodgates. Then 2 more just before the break. Kalinic with his first European goal in over a year. And then the Croatian set up Babacar for his 2nd of the night. The goals kept coming after the interval. Mauro Zarati's long-range shot proving too hot to handle. And in his first match of this season, the former West Ham striker curled in a free kick to complete the rout. A fine strike in added time from Dino and Love had Qarabag on the score sheet, but it wasn't to be their night. That thumping victory sees Fiorentina top on goal difference. Azerbaijan the next destination for PAOK.
Villarreal are just 2 points off the top of La Liga, and Rafael Santos Borré helped them carry that form into the Europa League. At least until Steaua Bucharest equalised, Sully Muniru the man to secure the Romanian league leaders what turned out to be a point. Turkish side Osmanlispor were unbeaten in all competitions, but after Zurich's Cengiz Çavuşović missed a penalty, Marco Schönbeckler gave the hosts the lead on the stroke of half-time. But like on match day 1, the Swiss second division side were pegged back after scoring first. Dutch-loanee Adam Mar with the equaliser for the visitors. There was to be redemption, however, for Çavuşović after his earlier spot kick misdemeanours, as Zurich became the first side to beat Osmanlispor this season. So Villarreal lead the group after match day 2. They head to Turkey in 3 weeks' time, while Zurich will go to the Romanian capital.
Big wins then for Fiorentina and Krasnodar in those early kick-offs. What was your favourite moment from those, Jules?
Well, we didn't choose a goal. Well, there's a goal, but it's more about the celebration from Ari's first goal with Krasnodar against Nice. We see that the Brazilian striker, because they were playing against Nice with Mario Balotelli, also scored, and then Harry with a little celebration like a la Mario, if you want, showing his muscles like Mario used to do when he was scoring before.
A bit Ronaldo-esque as well. How's Balotelli doing over there for
Great.
you?
5 goals in 4 games for him now in all competition. He was taken off at half-time because he can't really, physically, he's still a bit fragile, I think, with no pre-season with Liverpool at all, and then arriving at Nice and playing straight away. So slowly they're building his fitness a bit more, but he's been lethal in front of goal. We have to say it's been amazing.
Absolutely, 5 goals for him so far. Right, don't go anywhere because we'll have 23 goals still to come on the way from the late kick-offs. All the action from groups B to F coming up.
This programme is sponsored by Bet365.
Welcome back to our Europa League highlight show from match day 2. 10 more games to bring you from the late kick-offs with another 23 goals in the company of Archie Rintouch and Sepp Hutchison.
Astana is as far east as you can get in the Europa League, but despite the best efforts of Georgia Despotovic, this match remained goalless. Olympiacos and APOEL have 68 national titles between them, but the Cypriots would win this particular battle thanks to Pieros Sotiriou. 2 out of 2 for APOEL. Next up, back-to-back games against Young Boys Bern.
As Mainz search for their first win in the main stage of a European competition, Yoshinori Muto put them in front in Azerbaijan. But from the spot, Ruslan Gurbanov equalised for the side currently heading the Azerbaijani Premier League. This game was played just over 140 miles away from Kabala's actual stadium, but they seemed to be feeling right at home when Sergei Zenyov fired them in front. But with 23 minutes left, Martin Schmidt brought on Levin Öztunali and John Cordova. The latter equalised just 57 seconds after coming on. And it turned out to be a dreamy double substitution by Schmidt when Öztunali scored Mainz's third, securing them a historic win in the process. There was controversy in France as Saint-Étienne's Léo Lacroix was penalised by Russian referee Vladislav Bezborodov for handball. So penalty to Anderlecht, and 19-year-old Yuri Tielemans converted. Yet for a second match day running, Saint-Étienne came up with a late equaliser, though Anderlecht keeper Davy Roof certainly helped out Nolan Roux, as the hosts scored with just 19 seconds left in injury time. Saint-Étienne are at home again on match day 3 against Pointers Kabala, whilst the top 2 face off as Anderlecht go to Mainz.
A night to remember in Dublin as Kieran Kilduff came off the bench to score for the second European match in succession and seal the first ever win for an Irish side in the Europa League group stage. Zenit's 4-3 win in Israel was one of the great European comebacks, and they netted 5 this time round. First through Alexander Cochrane just before the half-hour mark. Then early in the second period, Giuliano scored his 7th goal in 9 matches. The the Brazilian then crossed for Coquelin to take the game away from their Dutch opponents. This was only the second meeting between the clubs. 1-1 last time round. This time, Domenico Prosciutto added a fourth from the spot. Finally, Oleg Shatov came off the bench to add a fifth and make it 2 wins from 2 for the Russians. So Dundalk, the story of Group D. Next up for the Irish, the mighty Zenit.
Czech champions Pilsen travelled 200 miles south to Vienna. Tomáš Poznar had their best chance. They ended up leaving with a point. Kevin Strootman has had a difficult 2 years with injuries, but the man known as the washing machine produced a clean first-time finish for Roma's opener. Before half-time, Tottenham loanee Federico Fazio made it 2, as he scored against West Ham's conquerors in qualifying for the past 2 seasons. There was no let-up for Astra after the break either. Diego Porotti's cross was turned into his own net by Papricio. And the eternal Francesco Totti set up former Chelsea winger Mohamed Salah as he scored his 4th goal at the Stadio Olimpico this season, along with Roma's 4th on the night. Austria Vienna will hope to do a little better than Astra when they head to Rome, whilst the Romanians from Giurgiu travel to Pilsen.
Athletic lost their opening match to Sassuolo, but the Basque club have won their last 3 in La Liga since then. And thanks to Beñat's deflected strike, they were on the board in the Europa League. Genk had a 100% record at home in Europe this season, and the Belgian club continued that form against Sassuolo. Nicolaas Karelis scoring in under 10 minutes. Leon Bailey then added the advantage before the break, the Jamaican with his 6th goal in European competition this season. It was then the captain's turn to add a 3rd. Veteran Thomas Buffel taking the game just out of reach of the Italians. Sassuolo had drawn both their previous European matches on the road 1-1, but they could only net a consolation on this occasion through Matteo Politano. So nothing to split the 4 teams in Group F. Athletic will be looking for a big win at home to Genk on match day 3.
What a night for semi-professional side Dundalk. A historic win for them. The first Irish side to win a European group stage match after getting a point in their first game. And they deserved it, Owen, as well.
Well, they played really well. And I think football creates some of these beautiful stories. As you said, part-time football players, you know, playing second in the Europa League group is just an amazing story. Getting their first win, it was just amazing, really. And those players, I mean, they must be so proud to be on this stage. Here we see, is it Kieran Kilduff?
Absolutely. 28th birthday today as well.
But look at this for a ball in, by the way. If that was, we're talking about top players, that's a standing ball in. And I think the place just went crazy. And it's amazing, you know, semi-professional football players, the story of the Europa League so far.
1,000 to 1 before tonight's game. Now they're 500 to 1. Do you think they can be the next Leicester?
I'm not too sure. I think it'd be an amazing achievement to try and even get out of the group, not finish bottom. I'm sure it'd be an aim. So great story so far. If we can keep it going, there'll be a few Guinness being drank tonight, I would imagine. Yeah.
Martin O'Neill, the Ireland manager, was in the stands tonight. So if he wants a striker in form, Kilduff is his man for sure.
Absolutely, great result for them, and it's Zenit next as well, Jules. A trip to Russia. We'll have to get some time off work to head over there.
Sure,
long trip.
It's not, you know, it's not that close to Ireland, but like Owen said, an amazing story for them. Just playing with no pressure, and if you look at the table, no one would believe it because they're second in that group, unbeaten so far. That point where AZ Alkmaar in the first game, they were completely deserved. They probably even deserved the 3 points already in that match they won. And today they could have won 3 or 4. They were that good, really good.
Well, Zenit will certainly not be underestimating them now after that result against Maccabi Tel Aviv. Thank you to Owen and Kevin and Jules. That's it from the highlights from match day 2. Match day 3, though, in 3 weeks' time, and you can see 8 live games on BT Sport, including Southampton's trip to Inter Milan in the early kick-offs, Krasnodar in there against Schalke as well after beating Nice tonight, and Ajax up against Celta Vigo. Man United play later on, though, 8:05. They're up against Fenerbahçe from Turkey. And Dundalk, you can see that match against Zenit St Petersburg on Thursday the 20th. That's 8 o'clock on BT Sport ESPN. But the Saints march back from Israel tonight with a point in their group, and Man United are up and running after their win at Old Trafford this evening against Zorya. That's it from us. Good night.